Welcome back, Brain Builders, to Podcast Infinity. Give your brain a dose. Grow smarter, right?
That's right.
That's what we're all about.
Yep.
And today, we are diving into a topic that's pretty relevant these days. It's all over the news. And that is artificial intelligence, or AI for short.
AI. It's everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. And as always, you can find all the resources for today's deep dive down in the episode description.
Yeah, be sure to check that out.
But just to kick things off, imagine like a world where AI is writing novels, passing law exams.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Like even diagnosing diseases better than doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen those sci-fi movies, right? Where robots take over the world and all that.
Right.
But it's like, is that really that far-fetched anymore?
Yeah, it's not science fiction anymore. It's getting real and it's happening fast. Like, just a few years ago, this stuff would have sounded impossible.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But now, I mean, it's mind-blowing the things AI can do.
It really is. So let's like actually talk about some of the stuff that's happening right now.
Okay.
So there was this novel that came out, I think it was last year, called Death of an Author. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, it was a big deal in the literary world.
And so this novel, the New York Times, called it like the first quote-unquote readable novel generated by AI.
Interesting. Readable. I like that.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, so now machines can write, but can they write something that we actually want to read?
Right, exactly.
And the author, Stephen Marche, this is like a real human author. He's the one who kind of like put it all together.
Okay.
But he admits that the AI did like the heavy lifting. Like over 95% of the book was actually written by AI.
Wow, 95%. So basically the machine wrote the whole thing.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's not just happening with novels. Like AI programs are now passing like super difficult exams.
Really? Like what kind of exams?
So there's this program called ChatGPT. I think you've probably heard of it.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT. It's everywhere.
So this thing aced like 4 law exams and then a business management exam. Like, these are not easy tests.
No, not at all. Those are tough exams, like for humans.
Right.
And a machine just aced them.
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you like kind of question what it even means to be a lawyer or a business professional, right?
Right. Like if a machine can do it better, what does that say about us?
Yeah. And it's happening in medicine too.
Really?
Yeah. So researchers at Harvard Medical School.
Wow, Harvard.
Yeah, in Bremen Hospital, they developed an AI that can diagnose rare diseases more efficiently than actual doctors, like human doctors.
That's incredible. I mean, that could be a game changer for healthcare, right?
Totally. It could be like life-changing for a lot of people if we can diagnose these diseases quicker and more accurately.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and then you have like AI composing symphonies. I mean, like a whole symphony.
Really?
Yeah, it was performed by a Spanish orchestra, RTVE, I think is what it's called.
Wow. So it's not just about crunching numbers or writing text. It can actually create art too.
Yeah. And it's like, we're talking about like, diagnosing cancer, composing music.
Right.
It's doing these things that like we thought were uniquely human.
Yeah, things that require creativity, intuition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just a tool anymore.
No, it's definitely more than that.
It's exceeding human capabilities in some areas.
Yeah, it's starting to raise some big questions about what it even means to be human in a world where AI is becoming so advanced.
Right. And like on that note, I mean, it's not all, sunshine and roses with AI.
There are definitely some anxieties, concerns.
Yeah, like what are some of the things that you're hearing that people are worried about?
Well, for one, I think a lot of people are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, for sure. Like, are the robots going to take over and we're all going to be out of work?
Right, exactly. And it's a legitimate concern. There's a report from the Institute for Public Policy Research. It's a British think tank. And they estimate that something like 8 million jobs in Britain alone could be replaced by AI.
8 million. Wow.
Yeah, and that's just Britain. I mean, imagine the global impact.
That's huge.
Yeah. And even the International Monetary Fund is starting to sound the alarm bells about the potential impact on the global labor market.
So it's like, is this the next industrial revolution? But instead of machines replacing our like physical labor, are they replacing our minds, basically?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It's like the Industrial Revolution on a whole new level. And it's happening much faster this time. Much,
much faster. And the thing is, those machines from the Industrial Revolution, they didn't have the potential to become conscious.
Right. And that's what makes AI different. That's what really makes people nervous.
Right. Because, I mean, all those sci-fi movies where the machines become self-aware and they decide they don't need us anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, what if that's not just a Hollywood fantasy? What if it's actually a possibility?
Yeah. What if?
And so, when we talk about like AI consciousness, we're talking about like, self-awareness, abstract thinking.
Yeah.
Like, can a machine actually think for itself?
Right, exactly. Can it reason? Can it have emotions? Can it make its own choices? Those are the big questions.
Yeah, free will, morality. I mean, that's some heavy stuff.
It is.
And so, it's still early days.
Sure.
But there is research suggesting that this might not just be science fiction.
Yeah, this is real science. Professor Patrick Boleyn and the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford University, they've been studying this, and what they found is that certain AI systems are starting to exhibit signs of what they call recurrent information processing theory.
Okay, break that down for me a little bit. What does that even mean?
Basically, it means that these systems are constantly analyzing and reprocessing information, sort of like thinking. I mean, it's not exactly the same as human consciousness.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a step in that direction.
It's a step, and it's like, they're having their own thought processes going on,
It seems like it, yeah.
Separate from like the humans who created them.
Right, and that's what's freaking a lot of people out. I mean, there was a big meeting in Venice back in September. A bunch of leading computer scientists, including some Turing Award winners, and they issued a warning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're basically saying that we're heading towards a point where AI could potentially rebel against humanity, and right now, we don't have any safeguards in place.
Okay, so safeguards, like what are we talking about here? Like, specifically?
Well, they proposed a few things. First, they said we need to establish some global agreements and contingency plans, kind of like a UN Security Council for AI, to prepare for potential threats. Second, they emphasized the need for monitoring AI systems really closely to make sure they can't replicate or improve themselves without human approval.
Okay, so like keeping an eye on them.
Exactly. And finally, they said we need to restrict AI access to weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, so that sounds a little Terminator-ish. Like I'm picturing robots with nukes.
Right. It sounds scary, but I think it highlights the level of concern among the people who are closest to this technology. They're seeing the potential for AI to become incredibly powerful, and they're worried that we're not doing enough to control it.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. It really is.
It is.
I mean, it's like AI has the potential to do so much good.
Absolutely.
But there are also like some serious risks that we need to address.
Yeah, and we need to address them now before it's too late.
Right, exactly. So, as we rely more and more on AI, like are we in danger of becoming too dependent on it?
Okay. Good question.
Like what happens to our own creativity, our own decision-making abilities? Like, are we outsourcing our thinking to machines?
It's possible. I mean, think about it. We already rely on calculators to do math for us, on spell checkers to correct our spelling. AI could take that to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Where we're not just outsourcing tasks, but our actual thought processes.
It's kind of like what makes us human, right?
Yeah.
Our ability to think, to create.
Right. And if we give that up, what are we left with?
Yeah. I mean, and then there's the whole, question of creativity and AI.
Right.
Like we talk about how AI can write novels and compose music.
Mm-hmm.
But can a machine truly be creative? Like, can it really capture the human spirit, the emotions, the nuance that goes into art?
That's the debate, isn't it? Some people say that AI is just a tool, that it's still humans who are the real creative force, but others are saying that AI is already creating art that's indistinguishable from human art.
It's like, the lines are getting blurred.
They are. And it's only going to get more blurred as AI gets more sophisticated.
So it's a lot of questions, not a lot of answers yet.
Not yet. But we're going to keep exploring those questions in this deep dive.
Definitely.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, it really is a complex issue, isn't it? We're talking about like a fundamental shift in the way we think about work, about creativity, about what it means to be human.
Right, exactly. And like, who gets to decide how this all plays out?
It's a good question.
Is it governments? Is it corporations? Like, is it these tech geniuses who are building these AI systems?
Right. Or is it society as a whole? I mean, this is something that's going to affect all of us.
It is. And
Yeah.
and right now, it seems like a lot of the power is in the hands of like these big tech companies. You know?
Googles, the Microsofts, the open AIs of the world.
Right, exactly. And it makes you kind of wonder, like, are they the right people to be making these decisions?
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened with social media.
Right.
It started out as this way to connect with people, and now it's this, this monster that's spreading misinformation and creating all these problems.
Yeah, echo chambers and filter bubbles and all sorts of stuff.
Right, and who's profiting from all that? It's the tech companies?
The tech companies, exactly. So it's like, is AI going to be the same thing?
It could be, and that's why I think it's so important to have these conversations now while we still have a chance to shape the future of AI.
Right. But how do we even do that? Like AI it's moving so fast, it's hard to even keep up with it, let alone, regulate it or control it.
It's a challenge, for sure, but I think we can learn from the past.
Okay. So, like, what are you thinking?
Well, think about the nuclear arms race.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was a terrifying time.
It was. The world was on the brink of destruction.
Exactly. But we managed to pull back from the edge through diplomacy, through international agreements, through a shared recognition of the existential threat that we face.
And you're thinking we need something similar for AI.
I think so. We need to recognize that this is a global issue, and it requires a global response. We need international norms and standards for AI development, for AI use, and we need mechanisms for monitoring and enforcement.
Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, but how do we actually get like every country in the world to agree on something like that?
It's not going to be easy. I mean, it's hard enough to get countries to agree on anything these days.
It is.
But I think it's possible. I mean, we've done it before with other global challenges like climate change.
Right.
And with AI, the stakes are even higher. We're not just talking about the future of the planet, we're talking about the future of humanity.
Right. And even if we manage to get all the countries on board, I mean, there's still the issue of individual responsibility.
Absolutely.
Like we all have a role to play in this, don't we?
We do. We need to be informed citizens. We need to be having these conversations. We need to be demanding transparency and accountability from the companies that are developing these technologies.
Right.
And we need to be mindful of our own interactions with AI. The choices that we make, the behaviors that we exhibit, they're all shaping the way that AI evolves.
So it's like we're all part of this giant experiment.
Yeah, I like that.
And we're not quite sure what the results are going to be.
We're not. And that's what makes it so exciting, but also a little bit scary.
Yeah. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
So what can we do then? Like what are some concrete things that people can do to make sure that AI is used for good?
Well, first of all, stay informed. There are some great resources out there. The Future of Life Institute, the AI Now Institute, the Partnership on AI. All of these organizations are doing really important work on AI safety and ethics.
And we'll be sure to link to those in the show notes for this episode.
Perfect. And support those organizations. Donate to them. Volunteer your time, spread the word about their work,
Okay.
and talk to people about AI. Have these conversations with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues. The more we talk about these issues, the more likely we are to find solutions.
Right. And I guess, at the end of the day, it's really up to us, right? We have the power to shape the future of AI.
We do. We just need to use it wisely.
Okay. So we've talked about the big picture, the long-term implications of AI. But let's bring it back down to earth for a minute and talk about some of the more immediate concerns.
Okay.
Like, for example, the impact on the job market.
Right.
It's a topic that's causing a lot of anxiety, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's a real concern. I mean, we're already seeing AI replacing jobs in certain sectors like manufacturing, transportation, customer service.
And some experts are saying that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. They're predicting that millions of jobs could be lost to AI in the coming years.
So what happens to all those people?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? What do we do about the people whose jobs are displaced by AI?
Right.
There are no easy answers. Some people are advocating for a universal basic income to ensure that everyone has a basic standard of living, even if they're not working.
Okay, so like a safety net for the AI age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Others are saying that we need to invest heavily in retraining programs to help people acquire the skills they need to succeed in the new economy.
Right, because, I mean, if AI is going to be taking over all the, the routine, repetitive tasks, we're going to need people who can do the jobs that require creativity, critical thinking, those uniquely human skills.
Exactly. And those are skills that can be taught.
So it's not all doom and gloom for the human workforce then. There's still hope.
I think so. But we need to be proactive, not reactive. We need to start thinking now about how we can adapt to the changes that AI is going to bring.
Okay. So what are some concrete steps we can take? I mean, besides, the obvious things like supporting education and retraining programs.
Well, one thing we can do is to focus on developing AI systems that complement human workers rather than replace them.
Okay, so instead of, thinking of AI as the enemy, we can think of it as a tool that can actually help us to be more productive, more efficient.
Exactly. Think of it as collaboration, not competition.
I like that. Collaboration, not competition. And we're already seeing some examples of this happening, right?
We are. In healthcare, for example, AI is being used to help doctors diagnose diseases more accurately and efficiently.
Right.
And in education, AI-powered tutoring systems are helping students to learn at their own pace.
So AI can actually be a force for good in the workplace.
Absolutely. It has the potential to make us better at what we do.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to make sure that it's used in a way that benefits everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential impact of AI on the job market. What about other areas of society? Like, for example, our democracy.
That's another area where AI is having a profound impact, and it's not all positive.
No. I've heard a lot of concerns about AI being used to manipulate elections and spread misinformation.
Yeah, those are very real concerns. We've already seen examples of AI being used to create deepfakes, to spread propaganda, to influence voters.
It's scary stuff. It's like AI is giving bad actors even more power to undermine our democracy.
It is, and we need to be very vigilant about this.
So what can we do to protect our democracy from the potential threats of AI?
Well, first of all, we need to be aware of the risks. We need to understand how AI can be used to manipulate and deceive us.
Okay, so education is key,
Absolutely. We need to be media literate. We need to be critical of the information that we're consuming online,
especially during election season.
especially during election season. And we need to demand transparency and accountability from the companies that are developing and deploying these technologies.
Right, like we need to know who's behind these AI systems, what data they're using, how they're being used to influence our behavior.
Exactly. And we need to make sure that our laws and regulations are keeping up with the rapid pace of AI development.
Right, because our current laws were written for, a pre-AI world.
Exactly. They're not equipped to deal with the unique challenges that AI poses.
So we need to update our legal framework to make sure that AI is being used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. We need to bring our laws into the 21st century.
Okay, so it's a multifaceted challenge, right? We need education, we need transparency, we need accountability, we need updated laws.
We need it all.
If we're going to really address the potential threats that AI poses to our democracy.
That's right. And we need to do it now before it's too late.
Okay. So we've talked about the potential impact of AI on the job market, on our democracy. What about our personal lives?
Yeah, that's another area where AI is already having a huge impact.
I mean, think about it. We're using AI-powered assistants like Siri and Alexa to manage our schedules, to find information. We're using AI-powered recommendation algorithms to discover new music, new movies, new products. And we're using AI-powered social media platforms to connect with our friends and family.
It's true. AI is everywhere. It's woven into the fabric of our lives.
But I sometimes wonder, is it really making our lives better?
That's a good question. And I think the answer depends on how we use it. AI can be a powerful tool for good. It can help us to be more productive, more efficient, more connected. But it can also be a source of distraction, addiction, even harm if we're not careful.
Right. Like, I've heard concerns about AI contributing to social isolation and loneliness. Like, people are spending more time interacting with their devices than they are with each other.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. We need to be mindful of how much time we're spending in the digital world, and we need to make sure that we're balancing our online interactions with real-world human connections.
So how do we do that? How do we strike that balance? How do we use AI to connect with each other rather than isolating ourselves?
Well, for starters, we can be intentional about our use of technology. We can set limits on our screen time. We can make an effort to connect with people face-to-face, and we can use AI-powered tools to facilitate those connections rather than replace them.
Okay, so instead of, just scrolling through social media all day, we can use AI to find meetups or events that are happening in our area or to connect with people who share our interests.
Exactly. There are AI-powered apps that can help you do all of that.
So AI can actually help us to be more social, not less.
I believe it can, but it's up to us to use it in that way.
Right. We need to be the ones in control.
Exactly. We need to be making conscious choices about how we integrate AI into our lives.
Okay. So we've talked about the potential impact of AI on the job market, on our democracy, on our personal lives. What about the big picture? What about the future of AI?
Yeah, the big question, what does the future hold?
And what does it mean for the future of humanity?
That's the really big question, isn't it? And I don't think anyone has all the answers, but I do think it's safe to say that AI is going to continue to evolve at a rapid pace.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet.
We're going to see even more sophisticated, even more capable AI systems in the coming years.
It's a little bit daunting, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels like we're barely keeping up with the current pace of development.
I understand. It can be overwhelming, but it's also incredibly exciting because AI has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. There's still hope for the future.
I believe there is, but it's going to require us to be wise and responsible stewards of this technology.
Okay, so wise and responsible, what does that actually mean?
It means that we need to make sure that AI is used for good, not for evil.
Okay, sure.
And it means that we need to make sure that it benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
Right. So how do we do that? How do we ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly?
Well, I think it starts with education. We need to educate ourselves about AI, its capabilities, its limitations, its potential impact on our lives and our society.
Right. We need to be informed citizens, not just passive consumers of technology.
Exactly. And we need to engage in thoughtful discussions about the ethical implications of AI. What are the values that we want to guide AI development? What are the red lines that we don't want AI to cross?
Those are tough questions.
They are, but they're questions that we need to answer.
And we need to answer them now.
Now, before it's too late.
Okay. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to have thoughtful discussions. We need to set ethical boundaries for AI development. What else?
I think we also need to be proactive about shaping the future of AI.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that we can't just sit back and wait for the tech companies to decide what's best for us. We need to be involved in the development process. We need to demand transparency and accountability from the companies that are building these systems. And we need to make sure that AI is aligned with our values and our goals for the future.
I love that. Like, we need to take ownership of AI.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that it serves our interests, not the other way around.
Exactly. We need to be the ones in control.
Okay. That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're not just passengers on this ride.
We're not.
We're the ones holding the steering wheel.
Exactly. And it's time to start steering towards a brighter future.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, isn't it? All this stuff about AI.
It is. It really makes you think.
Yeah, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, we've just dipped our toes in the water.
But you know what's interesting to me is that, like, through all this, we've been talking about how AI can, like, mimic human intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But what about creativity? Like, can a machine actually be creative?
That's the big question, isn't it? Can AI create art that's not just technically impressive, but actually moves us, emotionally?
Right.
Makes us feel something.
And I mean, we've already seen AI composing music. There was that symphony we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and there are AI-generated artworks being sold for, like, thousands of dollars.
That's wild. Like, can you imagine, like, hanging a painting on your wall that was created by an algorithm?
It's weird, isn't it?
It is. And it kind of makes you question, like, what is art, even, if a machine can do it?
Right, like, where does the creativity come from? Is it the machine, or is it the human who programmed the machine?
It's like, is the machine just, following instructions? Or is it actually expressing something?
Yeah, is it really creating something new, or is it just remixing what it's been fed?
Right. It's fascinating, and it's kind of scary at the same time.
It is. And it raises a lot of ethical questions, too.
Yeah. Like, if a machine creates a work of art, who owns the copyright?
Right. And can we really appreciate art that was made by a machine?
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important conversation to have.
Okay, so let's try to bring it all together. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. AI's potential, the risks, the impact on jobs, our democracy, our personal lives.
It's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
And then, all these kind of philosophical questions around AI and creativity.
Right.
What does it all mean? Where do we go from here?
It's like we're at this crossroads, We've got this incredibly powerful technology, but we're not quite sure how to handle it.
Yeah, it's a lot of power. And power can be used for good or for evil.
Exactly. And it's up to us to decide which way it goes.
And that's kind of, I don't know, it's exciting and it's terrifying at the same time.
It is. But I think it's important to remember that we're not just along for the ride. We're the ones who are driving this bus.
Right. We have the power to shape the future of AI.
We do. We just need to be conscious of that power and use it wisely.
Okay. So what can we do? Like, what are some concrete steps that we can take?
Well, first of all, we need to stay informed. We need to keep learning about AI, its capabilities, its limitations, its potential impact.
Yeah, so like, read articles, listen to podcasts.
Exactly. And there are some great organizations out there that are doing really important work on AI safety and ethics, like the Future of Life Institute, the AI Now Institute, the Partnership on AI.
Okay.
We'll be sure to link to those in the show notes.
Perfect.
And talk to people about AI. Have these conversations with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues.
Yeah, because the more we talk about it, the more likely we are to find solutions.
Exactly. And the more likely we are to make sure that AI is used for good.
Okay. So stay informed, have those tough conversations. Well,
And be proactive. Don't just sit back and wait for the tech companies to decide what's best for us.
so like, get involved.
Get involved. Demand transparency and accountability from the people who are building these systems. And make sure that AI is aligned with our values and our goals for the future.
Okay, I like that. Take ownership of AI.
Exactly. It's our future. We need to be the ones who are shaping it.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been a pleasure.
Hopefully you found it insightful, maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And maybe a little bit scary, too.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
But mostly hopeful.
Mostly hopeful.
Because we have the power to shape the future of AI. We just need to use it wisely.
This is Podcast Infinity, signing off.